Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Gameday Gameplay, the sports segment of Console Space. I'm your host, Sean Colangelo, and I'm joined by the man I envy the most in the wintertime, Todd from Florida. How's it going, Todd?
It's going good, Sean. It's a little chilly down here in Florida, but probably still warmer than you are up there.
Probably. How chilly is chilly in Florida?
Like 50, 55, 60, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, that's actually what it is right now here, but uh, here in Pittsburgh, that is. But that won't last.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, we're unfortunately closing in on winter time, and it's only like 5 o'clock and it's already dark and all that fun stuff. So,
Yep, same
but
here. I hear you.
yeah. So let's get down to it. So this is actually around my favorite time of year. I mean, technically I would say October. We've
Hmm.
obviously slipped out of October. We're in like the first week of November, ish. Um,
Hmm.
I like October a lot, particularly because of hockey season, which is my personal favorite sport. But it's also cool because you have that kind of time when pretty much like all the big sports are going on, like at the same
You
time.
do. You do.
Um,
This is actually the first time in 20 years this year we had a day where there was at least one game from all four major sporting leagues playing on the same day.
oh, really?
Apparently that's the first time that's happened in 20 years. Yeah,
Wow.
something like that. 20 years. Yeah.
I
But
didn't even know
yeah,
that.
they had an MLB playoff game, an NBA opening game like first week, then a hockey and a football game on a I think it was on a Thursday, I believe. So
Huh.
yep.
That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Well, yeah. So again, since we have slipped into November, and that does mean the end of baseball season, I'm sure there's not a whole lot to report on that front. But what do you got for the MLB?
Well, let's start off with like you said, the season is over. The Astros picked up their first ever World Series win um, this upro season. They went through the Red Sox 3-1, the Yankees 4-3, and the Dodgers 4-3 to do it. Um, It was a really good series against the Dodgers. Game five, particularly, ended up being a 13-12 win that Houston came back to win, and they won it in 10 innings. So went to extra innings, 13-12. That's a heck of a baseball game. Pretty much an instant classic right there. But yeah, Astros, Houston celebrating. Like I said, it's the first time they've ever won the pennant. So good for them. Good for the city. Good for the organization. A little bit sadder news though on the MLB front. Doc Holliday, who is the was a pitcher for the Blue Jays from 1998 to 2009, and then the Phillies from 2010 to 2013. Really good pitcher, won the Cy Young twice, pitched a perfect game in 2010, a postseason no-hitter in 2010. Um, they found him dead in a plane crash off the Gulf of Mexico earlier this week. He was only 40 years old. He hadn't been retired for that long. Like I said, he played as recently as 2013. Was an avid pilot, liked to fly his own plane. He was the only person on the board when it happened, and I guess it sounds like he just lost control or had a malfunction. They don't know exactly what caused it yet, but he went down and didn't survive the crash, unfortunately. So
That
a lot of
sucks.
remembrance around the league for a guy that was a lot of people's favorite pitcher. He was a heck of a pitcher for a long time, and sad to
Yeah.
see him go so soon.
Yeah, for sure. Um, well, yeah. I mean, is that about it for the MLB then? I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's out of the season, so there's not a ton of news going on around there.
Yeah, no, it's all good. All right, so let's go. We're what, roughly halfway into the NFL season?
We are. Yep. Week 10 is starting up, so most teams have played at least 8 games at this point.
Right. I know a couple we. I know like earlier in the year there was the whole national anthem controversy that fortunately seems to have kind of died down. So that's good that we can just
Mm-hmm.
play some football. But what's going on with the NFL?
A lot of stuff going on in the NFL. There's a lot of news week in and week out. Let's start off with a little bit of a scrappy week. We had two different kind of brawls happen.
Oh
First
yeah,
one was the Bengals and the Jags game.
the Bengals.
AJ Green and
Shocker.
Jalen Ramsey. Oh yeah, they're known for a little bit of dirty play. Vontae's perfect,
No, not the
Pac-Man
Bengals.
Jones, but yeah, Jalen Ramsey and AJ Green got into a tussle. Green threw Ramsey down, threw a couple punches. Both of them escape suspensions from it. Nothing really extra coming from the league because they both got kicked out of the game. But down in the NFC South, Mike Evans is suspended for 1 game for a blindside hit on rookie from the Saints, Lattimore. Lattimore and Jameis Winston, when the Saints were playing the Buccaneers this week, kind of had a little jaw match on the sideline. You can see it happening, and then Mike Evans comes in from behind and just pretty viciously cheap shots Lattimore. Refs didn't see it. Refs didn't call anything. He wasn't kicked out, but it was pretty egregious, and the league picked up on it, and he's out for a game with that. Tampa Bay's in trouble because Winston's out too with an injury. He is out for at least 2 weeks with a shoulder injury right now, if not longer. So they're down their top quarterback and their top wide receiver, already struggling on the season. So it looks like kind of a lost season for Tampa. But speaking of lost seasons, the Colts have shut down Andrew Luck for this year. He's not coming back.
Hmm.
They've already played, I believe, 9 games at this point, and they're 3-6. So really not much of a point to bring him back. Even if he did come in to win out, there's still no guarantee they'd make the playoffs, and he's still struggling. And actually, from multiple reports I've seen, there's not even a real certainty that he's going to be able to come back from this shoulder surgery. There's some speculation he might not be able to play at a pro level ever again. So, if
Wow.
that's the case, the Colts are in major trouble. They built this team around Luck. Um, he was their young star quarterback. He was supposed to be the guy for years to come, and they don't really have an answer if he's gone long term or permanently gone. But we'll see what they do around that. But for this season, it looks like the Colts are going for that high draft pick. They're not bringing Luck back, and they're going to let him sit out for the rest of the year and heal up. Um, Keeping with quarterback injuries, quarterback troubles, Sam Bradford for the Vikings is also going to IR for the rest of the season. Um, he hasn't played yet this season. They're shutting him down for good. Um, However, Teddy Bridgewater, which you might remember, he blew out his knee last year in a practice non-contact injury. Was pretty gruesome. He was out for half the season last year and pretty much all this season this year. He is finally back for being ready to play. They have activated him off the physically unable to perform list. He is practicing, so the plans are, I guess he still has some work to do to get back ready. They're going to start Keenum over him this week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Bridgewater taking snaps for the Vikings soon because Keenum's not the answer for them long term, and they are looking to stay in the playoff hunt. So,
Right.
and then down in Houston, the Texans, their star quarterback, rookie quarterback actually, Deshaun Watson, he was tearing up the league. It was really entertaining to watch this guy play. He took the Texans from a defense first team into one of the highest scoring teams in the league, but he tore his ACL in practice. He's also out for the rest of the season. So that really hurts their chances. They're looking for some help back there. They just signed veteran Josh Johnson. He was with the Giants. He hasn't played in a while. He's kind of a journeyman. They're looking for some help there because Tom Savage is their quarterback behind Watson, and he has not been playing well the entire time he's been in the Texans. Really, they're just trying to get something going, but their season might be forfeit without Watson for the rest of the time there.
Hmm. Interesting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so anything else in the NFL?
Uh, One couple things came up today. Martellus Bennett, tight end for Green Bay, he got waived by Green Bay yesterday, and New England actually picked him back up, so he's going back to New England where he played the last couple seasons. Also, big news here: Ezekiel Elliott. They finally ruled, unless something changes like it has multiple times, he is going to start serving his 6-game suspension this week. So that's a huge blow for the Cowboys if that actually doesn't change, and it's looking like this one might be set in stone. There's not really much he can do to fight it anymore. So, don't necessarily agree with the suspension, but you know it's going to happen. The league is pretty adamant about it, no matter how much they're trying to fight it. And so, 6 games that Elliott. See if the Cowboys can still hold into that playoff spot in that pretty competitive division with the Eagles and the Redskins. So, other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it for the NFL news. What's going on around the NFL this week?
All right, good stuff. So we're only about a monthish into the seasons of hockey and basketball. Let's go ahead and
Uh
start with
huh.
basketball.
All right.
What's up with the NBA?
Not a ton of big news. Not really any players moving around or anything this early in the season. So let's just talk about where a couple teams are starting off. A couple players. Boston is on a surprisingly hot start. The Celtics. They are 10 and 2, and that's despite losing their big offseason signing Gordon Hayward in the first game to a pretty nasty leg injury. I watched that happen. It wasn't fun to watch. Boston is actually my team in the NBA. If I had one, I don't follow the NBA as heavily as some of the other sports, but I do like to watch Boston play. So it's good to see them off to a hot start. Golden State's also they're 9 and 3. They're the reigning champs. They're the team to beat, pretty much in everyone's eyes. Houston Rockets are starting well at 8 and 3. Pretty much carried by James Harden. He's averaging 29.5 points per game, so
Damn.
that's a really good start for Harden. Um, yeah. And then a couple teams that are off to surprisingly bad starts. Let's start with Oklahoma City. I mean, you got Westbrook. They also picked up Paul George in the offseason. That's two really good players. They're 4 and 6. They're struggling to get it together down there in Oklahoma City. Westbrook's always been kind of a me first player. In that he likes to have the ball and doesn't really like to dish it as much. He does get a lot of assists, but not as much for a guy that touches the ball as much. So I feel like he and George might be having some problems coexisting on that same
Yeah.
team. And then Cleveland, LeBron. They're 5 and 6 to start off. That's obviously not what you expect from Cleveland. They really don't play that hard in the regular season. They're more of a playoff team. They just play well enough to make sure they make the playoffs and then get going from there. But even with that, you'd still expect Cleveland to be above 500 at this point in the season. So let's see if they can turn it around. I'm sure they will with LeBron. He's obviously the best player in the league. There's really not much of a question about it. So
Yeah. I
and then
actually, I was hearing, like a bit about the Cavs. Like, there's a lot of like panic going on, and I think it actually was LeBron who was just like, guys, like it's the beginning of the season, like chill out, So
yeah. I mean, they didn't. I can't remember exactly where they finished last year, but it wasn't first or second. It was lower end, and then they went on a run, and I think they only lost one playoff game all the way up to the finals. So they're just a team that kind of, they can take it easy in the regular season, not really push themselves as hard. As long as they make the playoffs, they can turn it on there and just run it. But
yeah,
um, they did lose some manpower. I mean, Kyrie went over to Boston in that big trade in the offseason.
right,
Isaiah Thomas, the big point guard they got back, he's still hurt. He's not playing. Derrick Rose isn't playing well for him. So they're down to basically LeBron and Kevin Love, and he's not even playing that well. So it's really a LeBron show in Cleveland, and unless LeBron turns it on right now and plays hot, I think that's probably why they're struggling. But he's not going to push himself and wear himself out in November. So
yeah. So what else for the NBA? Is that it?
the only thing I'll ever mention, surprising leading scorer Giannis from Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a struggling team. They're not really playing that well, but he's averaging 31.9 points per game, which is a full 10 points per game higher than his career high. So the guy's turned it on. He's really playing. He's a young guy. I think he's only in his fourth or fifth season. He's always been a pretty good player, but he is playing at an all-star level right now, and it's really entertaining to watch.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even. I can't say I've heard of him.
Giannis, I'm gonna try his last name, Antetokounmpo. I can't pronounce it, but
No.
um,
Interesting.
yeah, he's always been a pretty good player. Like I said, he's young. He's played for a struggling team in Milwaukee, but and they're still struggling. They're not playing that well, but he is lighting the league up right now with his own individual scoring pace.
Nice. All right, well, save the best for last, at least in our opinion, considering hockey is our personal favorite sport. So,
Really?
obviously, much like the NBA, we're early on in hockey season. But what is going on in the NHL?
Well, unlike the NBA, we do have some movement here in hockey. I'm sure you're familiar with it. We've talked about it already off the stream, but the
Yeah.
Matt Duchene trade. Um,
Yep.
Matt Duchene is finally out of Colorado, and I'm sure no one is happier about that than Matt Duchene. But Matt Duchene gets moved to Ottawa. Ottawa then in turn sends Kyle Turris to Nashville. They send a first-round pick in 2018, a third-round pick in 2019, Shane Bowers, who was their 2017 first-round pick, and Andrew Hammond, which is more of a cap dump, back to Ottawa. And then Nashville sends their 2018 second defensive prospect, Samuel Girard, and a forward prospect, Kamenev, back to Colorado. So Colorado gets 7 pieces out of Matt Duchene. That's huge. That is far more than, in my opinion, Duchene's worth. Um, Duchene's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I mean, first, second, and third round picks plus 4 prospects, you're getting into like, you know, Malkin level type of players, or Jamie Benn for that price.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I do know that Colorado wanted a more like established young defenseman in that deal that they did not get. I think they kind of ended up settling for a more quantity over quality approach in that trade.
yeah, you're absolutely right. Now Girard for Nashville, he's a really good defensive prospect. He could slot in and end up playing right now. Ideally, they'd want to slowly work him in rather than just throw him in the top 4 minutes. But don't be surprised to see Girard make the top 6 at some point in Colorado this year to see how he plays, because I think he's their biggest player acquisition out of all of those. Kamenev looks to maybe be an NHL at some point, but it's not really, he's not going to be a top 6 guy. He'll be a depth guy if he is. Bowers was a first round pick, but he was a late first round pick. He was 27th overall. They don't know what he's going to turn out to be. So, and he's still young. He just picked last year. So, um, the biggest thing about that is Colorado was off to a pretty good start. I mean, they were 8-5, I believe, when they made this trade. Well above 500, and then they move out one of their top 6 centers and don't get any top 6 help back, or any defensive help really back. So weird timing. If you're a Colorado fan, you could have been excited about them performing well in the season, but then this trade kind of signals that Sakic is already ready to throw in the season to get the return that he wanted back from Duchene, which it's hard not to accept that deal when you're getting that many pieces back, obviously. Like you said,
Well,
it is more quantity over quality,
well
but you
that
still get
and
three picks.
yeah, well that and plus, I Matt Duchene was not shy about the fact that he wanted out of there.
True, true, yeah.
So I mean,
He made that pretty publicly known.
yeah,
It wasn't really a secret. Um, Look at the other 2 teams involved in this outside of Colorado. Nashville is, in my opinion, the clear winner of this trade,
yeah,
at least in this season, because Nashville now is running a center depth that looks like it's going to go Johansson, Turris, Bonino, and then Yarncroc, and that is absolutely scary. And they only had to give up a second-round pick and a couple of decent prospects to do it. Um, from Ottawa's perspective, it's kind of a baffling trade to me. I know that Torres is an upcoming UFA. That's why Nashville already signed him in an extension. They signed him 6 years, $6 million per. Um, I guess he wanted too much money for Ottawa's taste, but they're getting Duchene back, and he's making $6 million, which is a little confusing to me. Now, the one thing that to note is that Duchene and Carlson are expiring on the same year, which keep in mind that Erik Karlsson is the guy in Ottawa. They're going to pay Erik Karlsson whatever Erik Karlsson wants to make. If Erik Karlsson comes to Ottawa and says, "Hey, I want $14 million a year," they're going to give it to him. So maybe this is a deal they make to keep their top 6 center depth there and not have to worry about that, coming into play. Because if they sign Turris for $6 million, and then they might struggle to get the money there for Karlsson. But um, that's the only thing I can think of. But that's a steep price to pay to get that 2 years of, well, actually a year and a half of contract security over that. So
yeah, for sure. Um, so what else is going on in hockey land?
uh, not a ton in terms of actual, movement or anything like that. But let's talk about how a couple teams are performing. Um, let's start with the underperformers. Arizona. I actually thought Arizona was going to turn it around this year, and I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, but I figured they would finish, in like a 19th, 20th in the league kind of position, just outside of it. They're 2-13-2 at this point.
Yeah,
They've only managed to pick up 2 wins in 17 games.
that's rough.
That's not good. Um, One thing they do have to look up: Clayton Keller, their rookie, is playing really well. I mean, he's scoring a lot of goals, he's getting a lot of points, but they can't seem to ever get any W's out of it. So um, it's already looking like the lost season from Arizona. I know it's early, but it's really hard to come back from 2 wins in 17 games. I mean, that's really tough to swing around that kind of depth or that kind of hole. Um,
Yeah,
Montreal
absolutely.
and New York. Um, Montreal, the Canadiens, and the Rangers both started off with pretty rough seasons. I know at one point Montreal was like 1-8 or something like that, and New York wasn't much better. I think 2-7. Um, that's kind of surprising to me. I didn't figure they would be bad, and they are starting to turn it around. They're starting to play better. They still got a ways to go to catch up, but they're starting to pick it up and win some games. I think Montreal's 2 games under 500 now, and New York's only one. So they're starting to swing around from their rough start, but they definitely did have a rough start for teams that I actually had making the playoffs this year. Um,
Yeah.
on the other end of that, teams that are surprisingly performing well that I didn't think were. New Jersey is 9-4-1 to start out the year. This is the team that finished at the bottom of our division
Yeah,
last year.
yeah, I honestly kind of had a feeling they would, they might turn the corner. I mean, the past couple of years they've been, trying to escape that old trap style, and you
Yep.
know, I had, yeah, I don't know. I just had a feeling they actually might be a pretty decent team this year, and so
Yeah.
far they are pretty good. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they've the last 2 years they made some really great acquisitions. I mean, they flipped Taylor or Adam Larson for Taylor Hall. So that's obviously a good move. Taylor Hall is a really good scorer. They picked up Marcus Johansson off the Caps this offseason. That was a sacrifice of the Caps salary cap issue. He had to
yeah,
go, and they underpaid for him to be honest, but he's been playing really well. They've also got a lot of really good rookies this year. Jesper Bratt is lighting up, and he's coming out of a six-round pick that no one really knew who he was. He's playing really well. Obviously, their first overall pick from last year, Nico Hischier, he's playing really well as well. So, and then they signed Will Butcher in the offseason. He was the big acquisition out of NCAA,
right.
the defenseman. He's got like 8 points or 9 points in like 13 games, I think, or something like that. So he's playing extremely well on the
Yeah,
blue line.
that's good for a D-man for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
And then everyone likes to talk about Vegas.
yeah,
Vegas
the,
is off to an amazing start for an expansion team. They have kind of slowed down a bit. They went on a road trip and they struggled. I think they lost 4 out of 5 on the road trip. They only picked up
mm,
3 out of like 10 points. Um,
well, they are like on their what, like eighth
fourth
string
goalie,
goalie. Yeah,
fourth goalie.
Jesus.
Fleury went down. Obviously, he's still out with a concussion.
Yeah,
They picked up Malcolm Subban from Boston. He was their backup, quote unquote, and so he started. And then he went down with an injury, which put in Oscar Dansk, who also went down with an injury. So now they're on Max Lagacé right now, and he's struggling. I think he only has 1 win out of like 6 games or something. So obviously they've been playing well enough to get wins. I think the goaltending is really hurting them, but you got to figure one of those goalies is going to get healthy and come back soon. So if they do, Vegas might be a surprise team to make the playoffs on their expansion year. I don't think it's ever happened. I don't know for sure. I think Florida might have when they came in.
yeah,
I can't exactly remember. I think they did make the playoffs, but they're playing way better than anyone gave them credit for. I didn't think they would be the bottom of the league. I still thought they would be like a 24th, 25th kind of place. No, they're proving me wrong as well. They got a lot of scoring from people I didn't think would be scoring. So,
yeah.
and then last thing to talk about, let's talk about the 2 teams that are lighting the league up right now. St. Louis is 12-3-1. They're playing lights out hockey in the West. Um, they're doing it kind of quietly. They're not having Tarasenko's not lighting up the scoreboard like crazy. I mean, he's scoring, he's getting goals, but not like at an insane pace. I know Jaden Schwartz has like 20 points in 15 games, but you got to figure that's not gonna stay for a guy. Schwartz, I don't think he's ever finished above 60, so that'll probably level off at some point. But and then the East, the Lightning are scary good right now. They're 12-2-2.
Yeah, they are.
Stamkos has 28 points in 16 games. Um,
Jesus.
yeah, Kucherov has 15 goals and 26 points in 16 games.
Wow.
There's a lot of people talking about is Kucherov going to do 50 and 50, which hasn't been done since the Gretzky era. I don't know
Uh,
if he'll pick up that pace,
Probably not,
but
but it would be pretty crazy if he did.
yeah, I don't think it's any secret that Kucherov is the heavy favorite for the Rocket right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And that first line is absolutely lethal. Nemesnikov is no slouch either. I think he has somewhere around like 21 points or something in 16. So he's obviously the weak link on that line, but he's still scoring at a point per game rate, playing with Stamkos and Kucherov. It's crazy to watch. They're playing insanely good hockey. I worry if they're playing too well too early. You know what I mean? Peaking too early in the season.
Kind of like the Caps usually do.
Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah.
It's definitely happened. But if they can keep up this pace, they're looking unbeatable. I don't know how anyone can take the cup off of them. At this point.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying for a while that I thought this year that the main threat to the Penguins in the East would for sure be Tampa. I mean, they didn't even make the
Yeah.
playoffs last year, did they? So I mean,
They didn't, but they had a lot of injury troubles. I mean,
well,
Stamkos missed pretty much the whole year.
right, but you know what I
Johnson
mean.
Palat.
Yeah, but you know what I mean is they're much more rested and
Yeah. Oh,
they're
absolutely.
just such a talented team. So I mean, you know, the only I guess kind of concerns with them would be their, you know, what they have going on, like you know, with their blue line. They don't have a bad blue line, but I don't think it's like you know,
Well,
I would say it's tops in the league by any means.
no. But
But
one thing that's helping their blue line out is Sergachev is playing far better than anyone predicted him to play since he was picked up with that Druin trade.
yeah,
Obviously, Sergachev was, I think, his seventh overall pick by Montreal. Highly touted defensive prospect. Everyone thought he would eventually be good, but he's slotted in, and I think he already has somewhere around 15 points,
yeah,
something like that. I haven't looked
huh.
at his exact number, but he's lighting up from the blue line. That on top of Hedman, who is, I think
Right.
Hedman's a top five defender in the league.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
And then they've got
Um,
Schuster, Doction,
well,
Cuckoo.
well, you plus you picked up Girardi, didn't they? Who I
Yeah,
mean,
they
he
got
was
Girardi too.
not doing so hot, you know, at the end of his time in New York. But I
No,
mean,
but New York was definitely running him more than he should. I think Tampa is running him on a third pairing, and Girardi can be a good third pairing defenseman. He does not need to be in your top four. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean they're getting good play for their blue line, which was supposed to be their weak link. And you know a couple guys like Sergachev and Cuckoo are stepping up and playing better than anyone thought they would.
yeah,
Vasilevsky's looked amazing. Um,
yeah. See, I was gonna bring him up next. I mean, my concerns with the blue line and Vasilevsky. He is obviously really really good, but he's so young. You know, I'll just
mhm.
be intrigued to see how he holds up in more pressure situations. But if those two,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're not gonna have trouble scoring.
No, no, absolutely not.
So like, if everything else holds up, yeah, it wouldn't shock me one bit to see Tampa win the cup. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's not like the Pens obviously approved with Matt Murray that young rookie goalies can withstand the pressure in the
yeah,
high pressure situations. So,
that's very true.
um, quite frankly, I thought one of the only times I've seen Murray get completely outplayed by a goalie in the playoffs was against Vasilevsky in the 2015 series,
Yeah,
or 2015-16 series. Um,
yeah, for sure.
you know, that Tampa lost that series despite Vazzy's play. And it really was close too. That could have gone either way. We could very well be talking about Tampa winning the cup that year. So I think he can handle the high pressure situations. It's more their blue line. Can the rookies there, the young guys like Cuckoo and Sergachev, hold up? And are they just taxing themselves too much this early in the season, or are they going to be able to hold this pace the entire time?
Right. All right. Well, anything else for hockey?
Nope, that about wraps it up, my friend.
That's it. All right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up then. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, comment, thumbs up, you know, all that stuff. If you didn't, thumbs down. Tell us why. We appreciate all feedback. Also, Make sure you check out other videos on this channel. We have the Console Space podcast, where we get together once a week and talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So, just please check out all that content and tell us what you think about it. And Todd, we will get together again next week for another
Yep.
episode of Game Day Gameplay.
Sounds good. I'll be here with all your latest sporting news coming up next week.
All right, man. Thanks for all the info. We'll talk to you then.
Have a good one.
See you, man.